Hey, I want to give you the best settings that I have found for Dragon's Dogma 2. Really help with my performance in the game overall, increase my FPS. It's still kind of rough in cities, but I think that's that way for everybody, no matter how good your PC is or console. Hopefully they'll patch things out in the future so it's a little bit better, more consistent there. But these settings really did help. So if you guys have any questions though, let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to run through them really quickly. I'll run through graphics settings, and then I might go through a couple of the settings I think that matter. You're going to want to go to graphics over here in options. Obviously, I'm playing borderless window, 1920 by 1080, 165 hertz. This is just close to my monitor's refresh rate. Frame rate, I have it capped at 120 FPS. You can actually change this to variable. I just thought it was more consistent. Sometimes I get to a little bit high, like I could get to over the 120, but it usually is sitting around 100 FPS for me right now with a pretty decent PC. VSync I have on. I think it's just more consistent that way. Dynamic resolution off, Fidelity FX Super Resolution off, DLSS Super Resolution off, NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency off. You can play around with these. It might depend on your system a little bit. So a lot of the games, actually, I had this on. It does help quite a bit. But I think it's your preference right now. In this game, I haven't noticed any difference at all. Rendering mode, I have it interlaced. I think it just looks a little bit better than progressive, and I didn't notice any performance differences between the two. Image quality, I have slightly above this. If you're running a higher PC, you can obviously turn this up. Ray tracing, I have it off right now. SDFAO, I do recommend this if you have a pretty medium range PC or you haven't noticed any dips or anything like that when you're playing. If you have a low end PC, I would go SSAO. You can even turn it off, but it is a pretty good difference between these two, so maybe try SSAO. If you have mid-range like me, SDFAO, and then you can bump it up. But SDFAO is so good. Anti-aliasing, I have TAA or TAA. Screen space reflections, I have this on. You guys can even tell the water looks completely different. I have it on, didn't notice the difference at all. Mesh quality I have set in mid. Texture filtering I have high. Aniso X4. So I had this on actually medium for a little while. You can kind of notice the difference in the images right there. You can play around with this. I think if you have a high-end PC, this times 8 is really good. Mine's medium to high end, so I think this worked perfect for me, and it looks really good. Texture quality, I have a high at 1 gigabyte. You can also turn this up to 2 or 3. Same thing. If your PC struggling, go lower. If your PC is a little beefier and it's running pretty smooth, it'll be high. If you guys didn't know, a lot of the time when you're out in the open world, it runs very well, and in cities, it kind of tanks. There's nothing that really helps the city that much, especially on PC. But I think it does matter. It's more consistent on the outside world for sure. Grass tree quality, low. Resource intense effects quality, I have on high. Shadow quality, I have this mid. I like the shadows, so I don't want to get rid of them completely. And there's a pretty decent difference between all of them. But I think mid, just a little bit lower pressure on my PC. It still looks good. Shadow cache I have on. Contact shadows I have on. I think there's a pretty big difference between the two. You guys can see in the image right there. So I have it on. Not a big performance issue or anything like that. I have motion blur off. That's a preference thing, but I just think I don't like any game almost with motion blur on. It's very rarely that I like that, so I'd recommend turning that off. Bloom, I have this off as well. I don't like it that much. You guys can see the difference between the two with the sun right there. I like it off. I think it's just a little bit better. Depth of field, I have off. Lens flare, I have on. No, I don't. I should have this off. That should definitely be off. Yeah, so bloom, depth of field off. Lens flare off. Lens distortion off. Okay, subsurface scattering, I actually have this on. You guys can see the difference between the two. I just think it looks a little bit more smoother, a little bit I think cleaner with it on, but maybe a personal preference thing. I didn't really notice a dip in any performance or anything like that between the two, so I have it on. Motion quality, I have on high. I think it's a pretty big difference. So that's basically it for the graphics settings. I think these are pretty solid settings overall. Like I said, I have a mid to high range PC. It's working really good, really smooth. Again, in cities, it drops a little bit to like 35 frames, I think, but I think it's dropping from everywhere. Everything I've seen, every review I've watched, it's mentioned it. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Hopefully, they'll just release a patch. So if you guys are looking for any other settings, I just want to recommend a couple things. So you can actually change this, a little bit of your control stuff. You can change your run type, control vibration if you want. I am playing on controller. I'm just running through this my PC right now. You can change a couple keybinds here, which is pretty cool. You can even change your key bindings for that if you're using a controller. Run type, I really like toggle. It doesn't require me to hold down the B button or circle to run. I can just press it once and then it'll sprint, and press it again to take that off. So I recommend maybe changing that if you don't like it. Camera, there's a big setting here, so you can adjust a lot of camera speeds and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. But the one thing I would recommend changing is this right here, this camera distance. You can actually move it in closer to your character or farther away. For combat, I would recommend turning this up quite a bit. It just makes it a little bit nicer, I think, and to deal with enemies. especially since there's no like tab targeting or targeting enemies. It's kind of free flow camera fighting. So I'd recommend turning this up. Just gives you a little bit more vision of your character and what's going on. You can turn these off, auto adjust. You can turn this off, motion functionality. I can't do this right now because I'm on PC, but I would recommend camera distance. I'd mess with that a little bit here. You can mess with some of the game settings, interface settings you can turn off. You can turn on like minimap. You can change some things there. Pawn HUD, enemy HUD, level up messages you can turn on. Like there's so much here. It's really freaking cool. They even have the aiming reticle you can turn off if you want to, which is pretty cool. I think I have a friend that is using it off, which is interesting. I like it because I can't hit anything even with a reticle. So and sound, I'd recommend maybe changing your audio output device to whatever you're using. There's a difference between them. I think that's about it, guys. You can also change the subtitle background opacity. I have it on dark because it's a little easier to see, but if you don't like that, you can also change it to light. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to help you guys out. And I hope you guys are enjoying Dragon's Dogma 2.